Hello, hello. This is Real Talk, Real People. Been a little minute. How are y'all doing? How's everybody? Hope everybody's good. Life is a party. All right. So, I'm sure you guys have heard, especially if you live in Florida, but even if you haven't, there's this guy. There's this guy. There's this guy. Okay, there's this guy. His name is Ron DeSantis. You may have heard that he was in the middle of some controversy pertaining to African American studies, and specifically AP African American Studies class. Now, if for all you guys that don't know, there was this issue with this African Americans class curriculum that was proposed. I believe it was back in November of 2020, and it was considered problematic by Ron DeSantis, many conservatives, as well as many African Americans. What is, I guess the term or the question is, what is problematic about it? Let's go into it, right? Let's take a look here. We'll read the article here. An AP African American Studies class changed after DeSantis' criticism. All right, so we have here the College Board on Wednesday released curriculum for its new advanced placement African American Studies course, excluding some of the content that infuriated Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican. Why it matters. The outrage of the curriculum underscores the ongoing battles against critical race theory, a topic that is often conflated with teachings of systematic racism. Driving the news, the curriculum does not require teaching on topics including Black Lives Matter or the case for reparations, two topics that were opposed by DeSantis. The reparations debates in the United States and Americas is listed as a sample project topic on the curriculum, but it's not required lesson plan, nor is it part of the final exam. The curriculum on slavery, Reconstruction, and Civil Rights Movement remains relatively unchanged in the changes that were made. The big picture. The Florida State Board of Education and DeSantis earlier this month tried to block the new AP course, telling the College Board that it is contrary to the Florida law, it significantly lacks educational value. The law that he's talking about is the law, I think it was I don't know if they're going to list it here, but it's like a woke law act, no woke or something. DeSantis said the course violates a Florida law that bans instruction that defines people as oppressed or privileged based on their race. Interesting. DeSantis' administration drew strong backlash from black leaders, Florida lawmakers, and governors in other states. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, you've seen him in the news. He was there for Tyre Nichols' funeral, and you've seen him in the news. He pretty much anytime there is some sort of injustice to black folks, you'll see Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. But I digress. Benjamin Crump accused the state of violating the federal and state constitution and threatened to sue if he did not reach an agreement with the College Board to reinstate the course. On Tuesday, DeSantis unveiled a proposal to revamp the state's higher education intended to alleviate intellectual freedom and push back against indoctrination. The proposed reforms would prohibit a critical race theory, and diversity and equity and inclusion programs ensure that Florida's public universities and colleges are grounded in the history and philosophy of Western civilization. Again, this is interesting. Zoom out as for this month, 1,530 school districts in 49 states saw the school board candidates take a stance on race in education on critical race theory, per Ballotpedia Axios Russell Contreras reports. Plus, at least 14 states enacted the legislation to limit the teachings of divisive concepts, or CRT, in 2021 and 2022, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. and it's just indicating what to watch. The AP course is currently being piloted in 60 high schools across the country, with plans to expand to hundreds more schools in the fall, reported by Washington Post. The course will formally be launched nationwide in 2024, the first AP exams taking place in 2025. The course is an unflinching encounter with the facts and evidence of African American history and culture, Dave Coleman, CEO of the College Board, said in a statement Wednesday. This article was reported, created by, you see the website here, Axios. I want to definitely give them props for this article here. It looks like it was written by Aaron Doherty and Ivana Sarek, and that was on February 1st. Now, that's pretty much what the changes are, but you may ask yourself, those are changes, but what is actually in this curriculum, right? What do they want to start teaching the children in Florida and subsequently across the world, or across the United States? And again, this is an AP African American Studies course, advanced placement. There should be a lot more in here than your normal history course. And we all know that African American history isn't just relegated, it shouldn't be relegated to just a month, but is interwoven into the fabric of America. For America would not be America without the contributions, the stolen labor, and the innovation of African Americans, Black people, Negroes, Native Blacks, Aboriginals. Now, this is the original. I was able to find the original and the revised version. So you have here the table of contents. This was the January 22nd version. And the one, so this was the earliest version. And then I have the updated version that we got just a day ago. And you see here, a course at a glance, origins of African diaspora, freedom, enslavement, and resistance, practice of freedom, and movements and debates. And it looks like all of that course at a glance is between pages 12 and 28 to 49. You'll see the interesting difference here is this one right here. This is the updated version, 2023-24 effective. And you'll notice here, click here, you'll see that it's quite a bit bigger, a lot more fleshed out. You got pages from page 13 to actually 164. Origins of African diaspora, freedom, enslavement, movements, and debates. So a lot more fleshed out than the previous version here. It's 234 pages here, and this one is 82 pages. So let's take a look here. It's at page 12, right? Okay. So let's take a look. Unit 1, Origins of African Diaspora. This is the first 5 weeks. The strength and reach of West African empires, intercultural forces of African kingdom and city-states, gender, community, knowledge, production, envisioning early African and African American studies. Unit 2, 8 weeks, Middle Passage, Atlantic African and transatlantic slave trade, Middle Passage, communal life, labor and law, gender and reformation of kinship. A lot of gender in here. Strategies for change, Black identities, abolition. Week 3, Reconstruction of Black politics, uplift ideology, New Negro Renaissance, migration, Pan-Africanism, Black internationalism, anti-colonial movements for Unit 4. Black feminist movement, womanism, and intersectionality. Okay, see, I see an issue there already. Black Lives Today, Black Direction. So interesting. So I guess I can already see the issue with what was already in there. Let's see. Let's juxtapose that with course at a glance should be 10. Let's see here. Course at a glance. Okay. So the new version, early Western African kingdoms, early African cities, global politics. Okay, that makes sense. So we see the difference here. Gender, community, knowledge, production. Okay, so they got rid of that gender, community stuff. Kept everything else. Abolition, war, freedom, cultural community, slave labor, American, transatlantic, from capture to sale, middle passage. So they revised it, got rid of the gender stuff again. And then let's take a look at Unit 3 and 4. There we go. Black women's voices in society and leadership. Good. Diversity, identity, culture, conclusion. Okay. Unit 4, the new Negro Renaissance, racial uplift. All right. Okay. I like it. I like it. Yeah. Okay. So literally, they increased. Okay. So they did pretty much get rid of all of the woke stuff. I don't see reparations in here at all from the get-go, right? I don't see anything. I think that was just kind of like a buzzword. Maybe we need to go through it topic by topic, but I don't see reparations in here. But I do see they got rid of all the woke stuff. And let's be very concise with what we're saying when we say woke stuff. First of all, the term woke was taken and hijacked. Black people and other conscious community people use the term woke to mean awaken to a different level of consciousness, growth in intelligence and wisdom, and with understanding of self. So the word woke isn't bad, but in the terms, in the rhetoric that people use today, whether it's the left or right, conservative, liberal, whoever you want to be, it's used as a polarizing term to mean anything that is liberalized, basically, and it goes against the status quo. So they got rid of all the gender, intersectionality, and feminism stuff, which I think is a good thing. Personally, I usually don't interject my own thoughts and stuff like this, but you got to think about this. This is AP African American Studies. Now, I do think, I'll just say this, I would have liked them if they were gonna keep Black feminist movement, they need to talk about the pros and cons, because the Black feminist movement, when you think about feminism and intersectionality, very detrimental to the makeup of the African American community and the Black family at large. So if they were going to go into the inception, how it got seeded into the Black community and how it's detrimental, or at least both sides of the argument, then I could see it being that. You always want to give people both sides of the story. You don't want to just do one side of the story. Because when you talk about the destiny and history of Black people, that already includes both parties. Once you start getting to Black feminism, intersectionality, gender, stuff like that, you are trying to indoctrinate. You are throwing in some extra stuff that isn't there. Because a lot of people, I mean, I've talked about this before, but a lot of people don't realize in Africa, and even if you believe Black folks came from Africa, right? Or a certain subsect of Black folks came from Africa. There's a lot of things that are prevalent over here that weren't prevalent over there now or hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, depending on what you believe. Sexual deviancy, perversions, things of that nature, cultural acceptance of such things, it's really different. And then especially when you talk about the history of African Americans, when you talk about terms like buck breaking or incest or all these other sexual crimes and sexual abuse and sexual perversions used to actually hurt black people, weaken black people, scar black people. Um, when we talk about feminism, LGBT, intersectionality, a lot of these things are, they're like, I want to use this very carefully. A lot of other groups and interest groups try to piggyback off of the black history, black culture, black struggle, black strides in societal, in legislative, and cultural and moral gains that we've had over the hundreds of years that we've been here, and even longer. And so when you try to add stuff like this that was in the original coursework, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a place for it. I don't think there's a place for it. Now let's dive a little deeper, because I didn't see anything about reparations. If reparations was taken out, I think that's a huge. I think Ta-Nehisi Coates' case for reparations is very powerful. There was a lot of other black intellectuals in our community that have done numbers, tons of research. Dr. Claude Anderson, many others. That work should be in these AP African American Studies. I also think Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's work should be in AP African American Studies. I don't think CRT is inherently bad. How many of us grew up? How many of us African Americans grew up and learned this whitewashed version of history? How many of us grew up and didn't know about the contributions of black people other than being slaves from school? Public school doesn't teach you that. Maybe a few private schools don't teach you that. I was a man grown in college when I found out a lot of the things that I was told about history were a lie, incorrect, or bastardizations of the truth. So if you're allowing high schoolers to take courses, AP courses, get college credit, and get some truth in there, there's absolutely no issue with that. Let's take a look here. This is giving us a little bit more in here. I like that it's going into these other things. Sudanic empires, Mali, Ghana. Nothing wrong with that. Let's keep looking. Weekly instructional focus. Am I going too fast? Oh, okay, hold on. Gender, Reformation, and kinship. Okay, gender and slavery. So, nothing wrong with women's experience in slavery. Reproduction, racial taxonomy. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's take a quick look here. Because there's absolutely no issue talking about what specific genders went through, again, male and female, went through during slavery, because that's all there was. There's no room for any of that other stuff back then, or putting that on there. Okay. So maybe what they did, let's see here. Let's find out if they did what I think they did. Let's go back up. Black women's voices in society and leadership. Let's go to Unit 4. And that's the thing. This stuff needs to be. This is an AP African American Studies class. There's no way you can get everything in this class. So what needs to happen is you need to have a class like this, and also interweave, like change, or correct the history that we already have. Because if you correct the history we already have, you're going to see a lot more black folks in history already. And then you won't need to try to stuff everything in an AP course. It'll all kind of balance out. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to it. And then, of course, the other thing is that parents should be teaching their children at home a lot about these things as well. To depend on the public school system to instill a sense of racial pride and racial understanding and acknowledgement, would be nice, but that's a job that you do at home first. This should only be reinforced by the truth of what actually happened. So I think there's a place for critical race theory, certainly. You wouldn't need it if you actually had an inclusive history and didn't whitewash it. But if you won't change the books to unwhitewash what happened, then yeah, you're going to need critical race theory. So it talks about Ellie Baker, black women's leaders work civil rights, often face sex discrimination. Organizations Fannie Lou Hamer are judging racial and gender discrimination during black freedom movements. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Good curriculum. And like I said, this is curriculum. Teachers got a lot more leeway as well to add certain things in here. So I think DeSantis, I didn't see anything about reparations in here. In the old one. Because I guess you don't need to specifically talk about black women educational rights over black men's educational rights, because I mean we're in the same boat. I'm not saying anything about reparations in the original, so I think they're bullshit. Yeah, they tripping with all that. Yeah. Post-racialism, color blindness. Yeah, we know about that. I don't see color. Yeah, all right. I'm sure. Okay, yeah. So hold on, the reparations movements. So yeah, so that would be my only criticism about. That would be my only criticism about what they took out. The college board took out of the class. They could have left reparations in there. because there's nothing hijacked woke about reparations. Ta-Nehisi Coates' case for reparations is very grounded in reality, and it's something that needs to be in there. But of course, they don't want anything in there that's gonna make people be like, "Wait, what?" They just want people to forget about reparations, really. So they'll probably blame that on DeSantis, but they wanted that out of there anyway. So all in all, you know, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Reparations should have stayed, but everything else that I see was taken out wasn't really a true loss. But hey, what say you guys? This was us breaking down the AP African American Studies curriculum. You're going to hear a lot about it, but, let's be real. People will never actually take you through these things and walk through them here with you. But, we do that here at Real Talk, Real People. Again, like I said, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know. Do you think, hey, I think we do need intersectionality, gender studies, all that stuff in there. Do you think he was wrong for taking reparations out as well? Do you think there's no, in an AP African American Studies class, you think reparations is a pipe dream and it doesn't need to be in there? Do you agree with Ron DeSantis? Do you think this is going to make him more popular? Do you think this is going to help his potential presidential run? Let us know in the comments. As always, this is Real Talk, Real People, and keep it real.